From the towering Wasatch Mountains of the American Southwest, we welcome you to this episode of Undiscovered Utah. This show focuses on the mysteries that surround the rugged, difficult, and sometimes deadly American Southwest. I'm your host, JB, and tonight we're going on an adventurous road trip to the old Utah ghost town of Gold Hill, following the historic Pony Express Trail. So saddle up your horse and let's ride. For this adventure, we will start on Main Street in Lehi, Utah. This is a fun, historic Main Street. Here you can stop and visit the historic Lehi Roller Mills. Originally built in 1905, the Lehi Roller Mill has grown and expanded. It became quite famous in the 1980s when the film Footloose, starring Kevin Bacon and Sarah Jessica Parker, used the Lehi Roller Mills as a filming location and where the prom and the final dance scene took place. In 1994, the roller mill was added to the National Register of Historic Places. Many other historic shops and buildings line Main Street, so take your time and have fun exploring. As we jump on the Pony Express Historic Trail, our next stop will be in Fairfield, Utah, where you can visit Camp Floyd and the Stagecoach Inn State Park. The inn served as an overnight stop for travelers on the Overland and Pony Express trails. You can tour the inn and get a feel for what it would have been like to live during the Wild West. Many famous travelers spent a night in this inn, including Mark Twain, Porter Rockwell, Bill Hickman, and Sir Richard Burton, just to name a few. The next stop on our way to Gold Hill is the Pony Express National Backcountry Byway Visitor Information Center. This site is located 1.8 miles west of the town of Faust Junction. From here on the road is all dirt, and depending on recent weather, the road can become quite difficult if it is muddy. However, most of the time, a normal car can drive this route with no problems. From here to Gold Hill is about 90 miles, with no services until you reach Wendover, which is about another 60 miles past Gold Hill. So be prepared for anything. There is no cell coverage in this area, so you are on your own. As you drive this route, it is not uncommon to see herds of wild horses and donkeys in the West Desert. This is a real treat if you're lucky enough to spot them. Keep your eyes peeled. Our next stop will be at the historic Simpson Springs. This was about the only consistent watering hole along this entire route. There is a campground here operated by the BLM. If you want to break up your trip into more than one day, which might be advisable, there are a few old buildings at this location to explore and some markers and signs telling you about the story of this stop. Not too much further, we climb to the top of Lookout Pass. From here, you are close to the turnoff to the famous Dugway geode beds. If you stay on the main road, you will next arrive at the Black Rock Pony Express Station. Here, you will only find a stone marker. It's marker number 90. From Black Rock, it's not too much further until you reach Fish Springs National Wildlife Refuge and the Fish Springs Station. This is a great place to get out and stretch your legs and to spot some very rare birds during their migrations. Just past the refuge is a hot springs cave and the Wilson Hot Springs. You might want to skip these hot springs. People have had their dogs fall into the springs and die from burns. Please keep your pets away from the springs. Wilson Hot Springs is located off the refuge on property belonging to the U.S. Army. If you try to drive to the hot springs, remember that the water in the road on the way to the hot springs is actually a spring itself. People often drive around the visible standing water only to get stuck 200 to 300 feet later where rescue vehicles cannot go. The water level is several feet below the surface in this area, so there is no solid ground to drive to the hot springs. So just skip them. From the Hot Springs Cave, it's a short drive to Boyd Station. Here, you will see the old cinder foundation of what once was a stop for tired Pony Express riders. We then continue on to a small settlement of Kahlo and the Willow Springs Pony Express station. Willow Springs is located at what today is the Bagley Ranch. This is one of the best preserved stations along the entire Pony Express route. You will definitely want to stop here and take a look around. Just past Willow Springs, the Pony Express Trail breaks off from the main road and heads over to Ibapaw and then into Nevada. However, our journey will stay on the main road and drive almost due north until we reach Gold Hill. Gold Hill is an old mining ghost town, or almost a ghost town, located near the Deep Creek Mountains. Mines in this area produce gold, silver, copper, tungsten, and arsenic. Gold was first discovered in this area in 1858, but there wasn't a settlement until 1871. A proper town was formed in 1892. Gold Hill grew quite a reputation and became famous because of the ore from these mines was some of the richest in the world at that time. At its peak, Gold Hill had over 3,000 residents and had many stores, a school, and even a pool hall. During World War I, arsenic became a much needed mineral, but not the way you might think. It was in high demand to kill insects. Insects were destroying the cotton fields in the southern United States, and arsenic was the best pesticide at the time. During World War II, tungsten was in high demand, and once again, Gold Hill had a little life breathed back into her. But as the need for tungsten waned, so did the population of Gold Hill. Gold Hill was also known as the home of William Harrison Dempsey. If that name isn't familiar to you, William Dempsey was just another miner that called Gold Hill home. However, later in his life, he became a world-famous boxer and went by the name of Jack Dempsey. He was the world heavyweight champion from 1919 until 1926. Gold Hill operated a post office until 1949. Today, there are still quite a few standing buildings and even a few residents. Be respectful of their private land. You can explore plenty of the places, and if you have time, you might even want to drive out to the ghost town of Clifton for more areas to explore. If you see water coming from a spring at Gold Hill and think, that should be safe to drink, think again. The water could still have high amounts of arsenic in it. From Gold Hill, it's another 60 miles to West Wendover and another possible night stay. Map out your journey to fit your schedule and your tolerance for time in a car on a dirt road. Some other attractions near this route include the Dugway geobeds that we mentioned before, Topaz Mountain, where you can dig for the Utah State Gem, and it is in great supply there, and is a semi-precious gemstone. Before you head out, remember to get all the supplies you need, including fuel, in Lehigh or Saratoga Springs. You won't have another opportunity until you reach Wendover. Well, it was a short episode tonight. Remember to be safe and respectful while visiting these amazing areas of the Great Southwest, and have fun exploring. You can find us on the internet at undiscoveredutah.com or on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Just search for Undiscovered Utah, and be sure to just subscribe to our podcast. You know what? Tell your friends about Undiscovered Utah. We would love for them to join this podcast also. Just tell them to search for Undiscovered Utah. Please join us next time as I share more about the Great Southwest. Good night, everybody.